All right, it's day two already. Welcome to day two of 5-day AI agent intensive vibe coding course with Google. If you missed it yesterday, I went through a live demo of day one. We started with workspace setup and some installations, and then we went into the day one assignments. Day one was all about introduction to agents and vibe coding, and we got our intro into Antigravity and Google Studio. We built a web app that was responsive and we deployed it with a click of a button. So it was nice to get into the vibe coding feel. So here's to day two. And day two assignment is all about agent tools and interoperability. And if I go through the what we will learn section of this email, I can see it's all about the protocols, right? So the MCP protocol that connects models to data sources, the agent-to-agent protocol that connects multiple agents together, and the agent-to-user interface protocol, AP2, UCP, all these protocols that came up as a result of the innovation around agent building. So these protocols have sped up innovation in this space because builders can focus on actually building their products, right? And they are able to take advantage of standardizations like this to connect their agent to other things that it needs to make it work properly. So if you know OpenClaw, for example, or uh, agents that are fully autonomous, that are able to connect to external sources and do things on your behalf, these protocols are what makes them work. So this is going to be an interesting learning material. So the first thing is we go through the summary podcast. I'm not going to go over that. For the case of keeping the video short and straightforward, I'm going to go over to the white paper. All right, so what do we have here? Agent tools and interoperability. Intro. This white paper focuses on how web coders can rapidly utilize some of these protocols to construct virtual data and execution team in a single afternoon. Okay, yeah, so they're promising us the world in a single afternoon. Yeah, let's go deep into the paper. So, introduction, the vibe coder's point of view of MCP by passing the n times n prototype, building virtual workforce. Okay, and then I can see some of these protocols here that I'm familiar with, A2A, A2UI, and all of those. So, yeah, it looks like the paper is covering all of the standard plugins that you need to know and the things that you can use to wire your agents to other things. So very important as we continue to get more agentic and understand how this system works. It's important to be familiar with all of these protocols. They are like the backbone of like the full autonomous agent. So yeah, this is a good paper to read and understand. There were again issues with MCP servers. Okay, yeah, let's keep digging into it. Let's keep going. More of these protocols. So the highlight here is software's next evolution isn't written, it's orchestrated by interoperable agents. Yeah, if you're into the news, what's making round is we no longer prompt, we write loops. So this is this is saying we just need to focus on orchestration and everything is going to happen automatically. Okay. Yeah, MCP, A2A, A2UI, AP2, and the UCP are the industry standards. Yes. And here I see some of the things like skills there. So Very nice. Yeah, I like this. I like this box. This is actually very useful. Looks like it will come in handy for me to explain this to people. So you have the agent at the top, and you have the agent's logic right in the middle. So the agent connects to all these other things through all this protocol. So the agents connect to the agent logic. And let's see. Mm, Cool. Who is this paper for? It's for software engineers, engineering managers, architects, and technical leaders who recognize that the shift towards agentic engineering requires strict adherence to protocols. Hmm. Okay, talking to us. All right. I'm just going to move on. Keep the video short. So hands-on with Antigravity CLI about this code lab. So this is an intro to learning about Antigravity CLI, which is a lightweight terminal user interface surface for anti-gravity. Cool. And what we'll learn, we'll install, we need a browser and a personal Gmail account. So we have that. Let's move on. So here are the installation steps for AGY is what they call it, anti-gravity CLI. And let's go ahead and run the commands in our terminal. Okay, so I'm going to start with the first command. Let's clear the terminal. Just move this to the side a little bit. So make directory AGY CLI projects, and then there's cd into that. All right, so I'm on a Mac. I'm going to copy the Mac command and go ahead and run that. Looks like that was successful. Scroll down. Yeah, looks like the output matches what we're expecting. So awesome, we're good to go. And now let's check the version. Make sure everything looks good. GUI version, we are on 1.0.8. Cool, close enough. And next we're going to clear the terminal and just go into AGY. Yeah, welcome to Antigravity CLI. I'm gonna use the Google Auth method.
Yeah, don't mind me. Just wiggling around the screen. I like to see the gravitational pull. Yeah, nice design. Let's go. Ooh, swoosh, swoosh. All right, let's move on. Okay, I'm gonna paste the API key into my terminal and enter. Okay, so start with the initial settings. There's, let me move that here. There's the terminal settings, how things show up. You have the light, you have the dark. Usually I go with the dark, but let's just stick with the terminal for now. And help us improve Antigravity CLI. Let's disable that for now. Next. Uh, First thing I try to do is check the models. So it looks like there's Gemini models and there's Claude models. That's nice. Um, Quite surprising because I thought this is going to be only Google models, but I also see the GPT open source model there as well. So I wonder if that's running locally or if it's through the cloud. Excuse me.
Let me go back to the lab. And yeah, I think we're done here. Let's move on to the next. First interaction with anti-gravity. Okay, let's see. Let's copy this prompt. And I'm gonna type in a prompt that I like to type in for the first time when I interact with some of these AI agents. Ask them who they are and what they do. Gives me an insight into the kind of prompt that was seeded into the model. So yeah, that's anti-gravity. It's a coding partner. Yeah, it does all of that. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna just type in their exact prompt and see. Okay, let's see. Hmm. Yep, that's deep. There's this famous quote on artificial intelligence. That's deep. All right, moving on. So the next thing is a few housekeeping commands. So if you've used the agent harnesses like Cloud Code and Codex and all of those, you probably wouldn't find all of this new. You know, with your slash command, you can get into specific stuff like settings and configurations and stuff. So cool. Let's keep going. And command parameters. Yeah, so those are the models when I run slash model. Those are the models we saw. So cool. And yeah, dangerously leaving. So if you want things to run without you touching them, that's that. So what's this? Yeah, you can, instead of, what I tend to do is um, I open new terminals to do like bash commands, but I found that you can use this exclamation point and you can directly in that spot, in that space, you can do your bash commands without needing to open a new tab in your terminal. So nice stuff, can come in handy. Let's move on. Use cases to try out, vibe coding. Yeah, so just like we did in the first um, in the first part of this course, we're going to be building a web application, but this time we're going to be using the CLI, Antigravity CLI. So I'm going to copy their prompt and expect to see that similar output. Build a web application using Python and Flask, plain vanilla HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. And I'm gonna remove some of the comments just because I like to mix things up sometimes. Let's see. Yeah, remove the please. Not trying to be polite. Trying to save token. Okay, so let's do it. And creating. It goes straight into plan mode, which is nice. I wonder if this is just something that comes out of the box because most stuff, yeah, you have to do slash plan to get into plan mode or slash agents for some of these other um, harnesses like Cloud Code and Codex. I keep going to Cloud Code and Codex. They're two of the most popular, so don't be tired of me going back to Cloud Code and Codex for comparison. Yeah, so it looks like it just goes into plan mode and build out a plan instead of directly implementing what I put in there. So that's cool. Okay, yeah, everything looks standard, looks good. It looks like they have the old AGY terminal set up to really be a partner. I like the straight up plan mode. I think that should be the default. And then next, and that's it. Congratulations. We are done learning. Yeah, this is some good stuff to know and understand and play around with as we continue to get more agentic. We continue to become more agentic developers. This is where we're headed. So important information. Let's move on to the next code lab here. Let me see. Yeah, let's move on to the next code lab. All right, so here, what are we doing? Google Developer Knowledge MCP Server in Google Antigravity. Okay. Are you still using Gemini CLI? Okay. Let me introduce you to Antigravity. All right, let's see what we're trying to do here. Um, we're trying to explore more MCP tools. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to enable one of the MCP servers that Google has. And so this is what we need: a browser, our project, and yeah, do we need to scan this QR code? How do we get the code lab? Okay, I guess we just move on to the next. Okay. Yeah, enable the API. Let's click that. Okay, next. Let's enable that. Enablement is already complete. Complete. Okay. Go back to the lab and need to create an API key. Let's let's go in there. Credentials. Already have an API key. Can I reuse that? Actually, let's see for the instructions. So we'll create a key and we enable the MCP server, the developer knowledge API. Okay, let's go do that. I'm just looking to see. Okay, let's do it. Developer knowledge API is the MCP server that we want to expose to our terminal, our model, and we're going to. Okay, so let's see next. Okay, and let's go back and let's get the API key created. I'm gonna create credentials, API key, anti-gravity course. Um, no API selected. Let's do the developer knowledge API, right? Let's confirm that. Yeah, developer knowledge API. Yeah, okay, let's go. Um, select that. Okay. Well, leave the default, create. Okay. While that is cooking, let's go back to, yeah, when that is created, we need to copy it and do something with it. So let's copy that. All right, back to the project and let's go to next. So now we will configure the MCP server in our Antigravity CLI. So adding a custom MCP server, you update the Gemini config MCP config.json file. So let's do that now. I'm going to exit, Control C, Control C. Nope. Looks like the shortcut is different here, so I'm going to use slash exit. Okay, cool. So I'm going to open the Gemini config mcp config.json. Actually, let me use Vim so I don't have to open a new application. MCP config. Okay, cool. Now let's insert. I'm going to insert. I'm going to copy the boilerplate that we have. MCP servers, Google developer knowledge, and then we add our API key. Okay, I'm going to copy that. I'm just looking at these dots to see. I think we have to remove those. That's just saying if there are other ones, we can add other MCP servers, we can add them there. This is just a config that would bring in the developer knowledge API into our Gemini. So let me paste the key there, and then we can take this off, take that off. All right, that looks good. So next, I'm just gonna save this. What's the command to save out? Write. So W quit. That's Q. And exclamation point to exit cleanly. Okay, looks like that's written successfully. So I'm gonna clear and let's scroll down. So if that is there, we validate the server, and yeah, I'm using the CLI. So this this is showing a screenshot. So I'm gonna use the commands that I use with Cloud or Codex. So slash MCP. That's cool. Yeah, we can see it. The check mark. Sorry for the sorry for the yellow background. Um, okay. Looks like we're good. Oh, okay, you can see the IDE and then the CLI. Okay. Yeah, we were ahead of our time. All right, so let's go. The next is to send the prompt into the model, see what it says.